the woman, and I was like, we just gotta do that real quick. All right, I think it's happening. I think the magic is happening. Yes, we are all over live. Excellent. Hi, everybody. It's Ryan Lanier. I am so excited. My business is Organizing for Good, and my very favorite thing I do during the week is to reach out to area nonprofits or just amazing people that are doing great things in the community. And today is no exception. I'm super excited to introduce you to Taylor Stockett from Hill Country AIDS Ride. Is that the short version of what you call what we're talking about today? Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Taylor Stockett, the ride director for the Hill Country Ride for AIDS. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Your energy is amazing. I'm very, very excited about this. So I just want you to just dive right in, tell us all about one of your favorite subjects, and I'm all ears.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and then a little bit more about the Hill Country Ride. Okay. So I moved to Austin in 2009 for school, finished up college, and then made this town my home. And when I grew up, I actually did not get a lot of sexual wellness or sexual education in high school or even in college. It felt like I was exploring things on my own and without a lot of, guidance from, mentors or family or my network. And being a queer man, that left some gaps. And I kept hearing, don't get AIDS from, my uncles, or as I was coming out, that was always the response. And I never knew what they were even talking about. And I started to wonder if being gay meant I would have AIDS. And I started talking to my friends about it right after graduation. And one of my friends said, actually, that is completely stigmatizing and wrong. And you should get plugged in to some risk reduction strategies you should learn. And you should join a group called the Q Austin. So I went to a meeting and everyone was extremely sex positive. They had a condom wall where they gave out just free condoms and lube. They would talk, there was nothing that was taboo. You could talk about anything. And they even had a rule in the little bungalow that was don't yuck anyone's yum. So you would have to just be open to understanding it might not be your yum, but don't yuck it because it might be someone else's. And we're all here to just learn and grow. So that's when I first learned about HIV prevention. And that's how I first learned about, PrEP, which is a daily pill you can take to prevent the transmission of HIV. And lo and behold, the Q had a position open up for social media marketing. And so I applied and got the job. And then I was really in the thick of it, right? So I started learning and then also teaching others about sexual health and wellness, how to prevent the transmission of HIV, how to take care of yourself, how to give and receive consent, and basically how to be a decent human being who's sexually active.
Right. We all need that. We all need that.
We all need that.
What team you're on. Yeah.
Exactly. That's something that we all can get behind. And then, we took the Q social media to some really great places. I started having tremendous success. I then presented at 4 different conferences in 1 year about how to reach young queer men on social media with the message of sexual health and risk reduction. And the organization I was working for promoted me all the way up to marketing manager. I was having such a blast. I was learning a lot. I was feeling really good about the work I was doing, and I wanted to have an even greater impact. I was then approached by the board of the Hill Country Ride for AIDS, and they asked me, would you please apply? We have the ride director position open, and we think you would be fantastic. So after about 6 months of interviews. I got the job. And before that, I had actually, when I was working at the Q, I had volunteered for 2 years at the really fun themed pit stops. And then I had rode for 2 years as a first-time rider and then a returning rider. And I had had a blast. So when they asked me to apply, I was already all in, having participated for 4 years. And so I have been the ride director since 2019, and it has been fantastic. And the Hill Country Ride Parades is a very, very fun, festive, family-friendly cycling event that happens each April, always the last Saturday of the month, every year. People plan for it. They come from Colorado, they come from DC and California and Florida, and of course, Central Texas. And they get together all with the same goal. Let's raise support for organizations around town that provide services, life-saving care, treatment, prevention, testing, food bank services, hospice services, housing, I mean, everything. The 9 beneficiaries of the Hill Country Ride Parades together provide comprehensive care and support for anyone impacted or affected by HIV and AIDS in the Central Texas area. And they do it even if someone has the inability to pay. No one is turned away from that quality life-saving care. And it's made possible by the funds we raise each year with the ride.
Fantastic. Wow. Wow. Fantastic. I mean, again, such a compliment to, you know, who you are and how obvious your dedication is to, you know, creating awareness and bettering people's lives, that they brought you on in such a huge way. So I just want to, you know, that just feels, it must have felt very affirming to be sought after, to run such a big deal. I mean, wow, that is a huge endeavor. I'm sure you have an amazing team.
It is huge, but let me tell you, our staff is only 2 people. Yeah, it's me as the ride director, and then we have a ride assistant. Alexis is phenomenal. And the 2 of us are kind of like the dynamic duo that hold down the fort. But the lifeblood of our organization is volunteers. Every year, we have between 300 and 500 volunteers that work on the event. We have a board of directors that is a working board. They all are extremely active in the organization. We have a completely volunteer production team of almost 40 people that work year round to make sure this event is successful. And not just successful, but that it is like a world-class cycling event and extremely fun.
Well, that's important because the riding community, the cycling community is huge. And, you know, exercise and community is also amazing. So I'm doing the math. So your ride end of April 2020 must have been an interesting ride. So can you take us back to what COVID and stuff has gone, what you guys have gone through to get through it and survive?
Absolutely. You know what's really interesting? I'm going to take you all the way back.
I'm ready.
You know, our organization has been around for 22 years.
Wow.
And in that time, in our first 20 years, we had raised $10 million to fund care and support, you know, for HIV and AIDS in our area. And, you know, the 9 beneficiaries, their budgets are dependent on the funds they receive from us in many different categories. So when COVID hit, it hit in 2020, 1 month before our event.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and we've never been virtual before, but we also recognize, I mean, the health and safety of our participants is always our top priority. And, you know, that is because we're riding on like roads. So we always have, you know, police out there. We always have SAG and support vehicles. And we have, you know, we always mark the route. I mean, everything is all about safety. And so when we realized that COVID was, you know, going to impact the season, we knew we could not have an event. It was just not even an option, because we also have a lot of participants with compromised immune systems and who would be the most vulnerable
Yeah.
to
Right.
COVID.
Right. Right.
So we immediately went virtual, and I was literally behind the scenes, like spinning. It was like I was like spinning around like in circles, just trying to figure out what could we possibly do to bring this community online and it still be fun and it still be a fantastic, successful fundraiser.
Right.
And so what we did is we literally pivoted and extended our season 2 extra months in order to create virtual challenges. We did weekly challenges that alternated between riding or walking a specific distance to train, or and fundraising challenges. So we alternated back and forth. Like one week, in May, we did, May the 4th challenge. And so we did,
excellent.
Okay, we want you to dress up as a, Star Wars or Star Trek character. We want you to do something out of this world and make a fundraising post. Or we want you to go out and ride a route that creates an out of this world picture. It could be as easy as like, go ride in a parking lot in a circle for a few miles and make a moon or make Saturn, or go through the streets and create baby Yoda,
Right. Oh my
so we
gosh.
came up with we did everything we could think of to come up with really creative and fun things that people could do within their household, their pod, or individually. And we were able to raise $430,000 in 2020 that we were able to give back to all our beneficiary agencies. It was hard. It was not easy.
Yeah. I bet when you say that number, you're like, but it felt like so much more because I did to do so much.
It did.
Wow. Congratulations.
It definitely, it was difficult. And then in 20, but we were very proud of that because, we had built a lot of momentum because our season is December through May, and our event is always the last Saturday in April. So we had built a lot of momentum by, middle of March in 2020. And then as soon as COVID hit, nobody knew what to do.
No.
There was no playbook.
Yeah.
There was no plan for a global pandemic. And like, how are we going to transition this? And, so we literally were like kind of flying by the seat of our pants. But then when we came around for the 2021 season, we at least had done it once before, and we knew, okay, some things worked, some things didn't. The virtual challenges, some people loved those, but then by the end of it, like I said, we extended the season 2 extra months. That gave us 12 weeks of challenges. And by the end of it, people were just like, Taylor, I'm exhausted, like I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And then, all my volunteers and the board and the staff, like, I mean, it was hard, right? Because that, we were making it up and coming up with it. And so what we decided to do for 2021 is we wanted to reduce the number of challenges, make it a little easier to for people to be able to plan and give them more time. Because some people in the first virtual year, they were like, oh, I loved all these challenges, but I wasn't able to get them done, every single week. So they were like, I did 2 a month or something like that. So we simplified it. We did 1 challenge focus per month, but we built it where you could complete the challenges in any order and at any time. And we also opened it up to not just riders, but through connecting our website profiles to Strava, it's like a workout app, people could ride their miles, run their miles, walk their miles, swim their miles, canoe their miles. And so we expanded options to participate. And we saw fantastic engagement by our core. There are folks who have done the ride for all 22 years. And those folks were not discouraged in any way from participating, from fundraising, from being engaged with the campaign. And our social media reach grew astronomically in the virtual years. And so it really helped us to be creative, come up with some new ways for folks to engage with our mission and to get excited about it. The one thing we were really worried about is we call our participants a community of kindness. It's really this family reunion type feel at our in-person event in April every year. So we wanted to make sure we didn't lose that deep connection that people feel with and amongst each other. Because, on ride day in a normal year, it is not uncommon to see hugs and kisses, maybe even a proposal that's happened at the ride. And so, everyone just is like so excited to create this collective impact that ripples throughout our community, through our beneficiary agencies, and helps some of the most vulnerable in our community. So it really ties people together. And we did not want to lose that in a virtual setting. So, we came up with the virtual campfire, where we would reach out to different people in our community who are really like staples. Like you look for these people every year at the ride because you can't wait to see what they're wearing, what they dressed up as, or how much money they raised, what awards they're getting, how big their kid has gotten in the past year, like all those things. So we reached out to those folks and we asked them for, what's your favorite, recipe that you're loving right now? What's your favorite playlist? What's the TV show that is driving you crazy or making you fall asleep? Or so we asked all these questions, and we built, essentially it was like a blog or a newsletter, but we called it the virtual campfire. Because what do you do around the campfire in person at the event? You share stories, you talk about what's working in your life, what opportunities or challenges you might want someone to give you some insight on. And so we did all of that in a virtual setting, and people were just like loving it.
That's fantastic. I mean, talk about staying in line with the vision, no matter what the challenges were being presented. And looking back now, we're like, oh yeah, you just make things virtual. It's no big deal. But at the time we were like, what is happening, right? Just like you said, just flying blind. And that is phenomenal. I love that there were challenges, but then you rose to the challenge and you learned things to keep going forward with. I love that so much. So boy, this sounds like, definitely something that people have on their calendars, and they just know this is. So how, if this is calling to someone like, wow, I want in on this beautiful community, please share all the ways that, starting from now until the event, that they could get their feet wet.
Well, this is the perfect time to start thinking about getting involved with the Hill Country Ride for AIDS. Our season launches every year on December 1st, which is World AIDS Day. So we always launch the season. The website gets completely rebooted. It's in construction right now. So please pardon our dust if you visit. But we literally are about to relaunch the campaign and have we always kind of carry forward our staple branding, but every year we have a new theme. So I'm about to announce the new theme on December 1st. We're going to release our participant graphics and our poster, and the website's going to just look gorgeous. So ways people can get involved are they can be planning to visit our website on December 1st. We're also going to have an outdoor, everything we're doing this next season is outdoors. We are going to be following all CDC guidelines, but we are going to be able to have in-person programming this year. We're so excited. And the ways we're going to do that is we're going to make sure that we keep social distance. We're going to require proof of vaccination or a negative test to enter into our event spaces.
Great.
And we're also going to have, space tables 6 feet apart, have hand sanitizer everywhere, masks available.
Of it.
Yes. And, whether someone is vaccinated or not, we welcome a culture where masks are celebrated. People love to dress up for our event. So I imagine we're going to see some really fantastic masks and outfits this year. But December 1st, we'll be at Austin Beer Works up north in North Austin. And if you come by and register as a volunteer or as a rider, you're going to get a free drink from Austin Beer Works. They have delicious beer, but also non-alcoholic beverages as well. And Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have an early bird special, so registration will be a little bit
Mhm,
discounted.
mhm,
And then in January 20th, we're going to have, it's a Thursday, we're going to have a huge kickoff party for the season. And so
mhm.
that's going to be at Last Stand Brewery on South Congress. And, we've got a lot of surprises in store, a lot of fun stuff planned. And then our ride day is April 30th, 2022. That's the last Saturday in April. And yeah, it's at Krause Springs. So
Oh,
people love to,
yes.
yeah, we
I
start and stop there. So people, when they cross the finish line, they often go jump in the springs and then come back and get a craft beer or an ice cream or, something to snack on. We always do barbecue and
Mhm, mhm,
have a really fun time. But I wanted to share a little bit more about our rider options because you don't have to be an avid cyclist for this to be really fun.
mhm.
Our youngest rider is 8 years old and our oldest is 84. And we call it a ride, not a race, because it's an untimed event, but we have a 13-mile route that's very, very popular with families. We have a 26, 27-mile route, which is popular with folks who are returning for their second year. Our 45-mile route is the middle, and it is the most popular route. You get a lunch stop, and you also get a really big hill right in the last half of the distance. We have a 75 and then a 90 miler, which a lot of folks who are training for big rides or 100-mile rides love the 90-mile route because it really helps them get their mileage up on a weekend while they're training.
Right.
And
Wow.
so we have a distance and a pace for everybody.
Yeah.
And then if riding's not your thing, that's totally okay. We have 300 volunteer roles on ride day. So we're always looking for amazing volunteers. Your registration covers your t-shirt, 3 meals for ride day, and your entry into the venue. So you can even camp overnight at Krause, and that's covered with your event registration. So we're really excited to get back together. It's going to be like a reunion this next year.
I've camped at Krause Springs with Boy Scouts.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun.
It's such a great place. Like, how many riders are we talking? Do they event?
So normally we have over 500 riders. So with everyone having been, at home and, held back by the pandemic from going out and about, I'm expecting 650 riders this next year.
Wow. And what a great way to say, all right, COVID 20, 45 pounds that I put on. Let's just kick that in the butt and get moving. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Okay, so now that we're talking about riders, and you've been talking so much about your community, and you said there was proposals or whatever, like, can you get us in touch with somebody that has a little story for us that just, where the ride or the community just really did something special for them?
I would love to tell you about one of my board members. He, came out and found out he was positive and was ostracized by his family, moved to Austin, didn't really feel like he knew anyone, felt like, what's the point of all of this? Someone invited him to a little party, a little event where they talked about the ride. And he was thinking, he had never really been a big cyclist or anything like that. He just knew that he was HIV positive and he needed a friend. And someone said to him, you want to do the ride? Let's do the ride together. And he was like, oh, I just don't know if I could ever do that. And I don't know what's going to happen in my life in the next month or two. And you got to remember, this is, a couple decades ago. And HIV is no longer a death sentence by any means. Someone who is diagnosed HIV positive today has the exact same life expectancy as someone who's HIV negative, so long as they have access to quality care, which is what the ride helps provide.
Right.
But 2 decades ago, it was a whole nother story. People were literally making their plans for end of life planning. And
Mm-hmm.
so my board member thinks I would love to have something to look forward to. And I would really love to focus on my health and wellness. So I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to commit to riding the longest distance, and I'm going to train for it. And he trained for it for several months. He did his fundraising. First time riders, their goal is $250 that they have to raise from the December 1st to April 30th. A returning rider has to raise $500 to ride.
Okay.
And so my board member starts fundraising, he starts training, he starts meeting people at the training rides. We do training rides February, every weekend, February through April, so that you can be ready and you can be supported as you train. We don't let anyone get dropped on a ride, fully supported. We'll help you change your tire, all those things.
Wow.
So he starts meeting people. He starts building up those miles. He starts, being able to go further and go a little faster and feel confident. And ride day comes and he crosses the finish line and he gets this big hug from people who wait at the finish line to embrace you and love on you and thank you for what you're doing. And he has not missed a year since then. He has now been part of the ride for over 18 years. And now he's even on the board of directors.
So great.
He is the sweetest guy you would ever meet. And now he's one of the folks that loves on and helps others as they're training and fundraising for this event. So it's really come full circle.
Beautiful story. You killed it with that. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you.
I have one more story for you though. Do we have time?
Yes. Okay.
I have to tell you this one because it's a little personal to me, and it's one of my favorite stories of my involvement with the ride. It was my second year riding, and so it's my fourth year involved, and my second year riding, so I have to raise that $500 now. The $250, I had no problem raising that the first year. I raised double that in my first year, but for my second year, I was like, oh, I barely got there last year. I really am gonna have to try hard. So I was telling everybody I knew, and ever since I came out, my relationship with my parents has been, a bit more at an arm's length than it was before. But my parents came to visit me one weekend, in the spring, and we're sitting having a coffee, and I'm from a really big family, and my parents were never like wealthy or anything like that. My mom usually wouldn't even buy herself shoes except every 10 years because she was like, oh no, the kids need shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there having a coffee, and my mom's like, well, what are you doing these days? What's going on? What's on your plate? What did you doing? And I was like, oh, well, this weekend I'm going to do a practice ride. I'm doing the Hill Country Ride for AIDS, and I'm so excited. And Mom, I just have to tell you about this woman I heard about. She's a grandma, a cancer survivor. She's living with HIV. She's a deacon in her church. And she is one of the clients of our beneficiaries. And I got to meet her at a training ride, and she was telling me her story. And I'm just thinking, if she can do it, going through everything she's going through, I can climb this hill, and I can, ride these miles, and I can raise these funds because she's inspiring. And I was telling my mom about her, and my mom opened up her purse, and she's digging around. She's digging, and there's gum wrappers coming out, and there's a peppermint, and there's, her,
Kleenex,
she opens up her
Kleenex.
Yes. And I thought she just wasn't paying attention to my story.
Right.
And I was
you were like, thanks, Mom.
I'm kind of wrapping up my story, and I'm like, all right, well, and so I finish, and she finally finds this wrinkled up 20 in the bottom of her purse, and she's like, Taylor, this is my last 20, and I want you to have it for your fundraising.
Stop. God.
And it just made the biggest impression on me. I could not believe that, my mom was moved to donate for this cause, because it's not something that directly impacts her, and it's not she doesn't live in Austin, and she doesn't necessarily donate to a lot of causes. She's not a philanthropist. She's, a mama six and just trying to make ends meet herself. And she was like, I could not spend this 20 in a better way. And I was like,
yeah.
So I no longer have my mom here with me, but every year when I ride, I think about that story and I think about that 20.
Stop. Oh, I always cry on these interviews. That is so beautiful. I didn't mean to stop you, but like, you're really getting me. That is such a great
I know,
story.
I'm about to cry too. I'm like,
my gosh.
It's just, when we do the ride every year, because it's in April, all the wildflowers are in full bloom.
Oh, yes.
The sky is gorgeous and the air is just like this beautiful, like, not quite spring, not quite summer. It's just this like perfect. And every time I'm out there, I just kind of remember, the folks we're riding for, but I also think about the folks that are supporting the ride. So I always think about my mom a little bit, and she loved wildflowers. So every time I'm riding through the wildflowers, I'm always like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm so very like happy to do it with these fantastic people, this community of kindness. And our community is so much better because of the Hill Country Ride for AIDS. And I invite everyone to come out and experience it because it's life-changing and you're going to fall in love. Wow.
Thank you so much for all, like, the start, the finish, I have no words. I have no words. I'm dusting off my bike. That's where I'm at right now. Like, wow. So, gosh. Okay. Well, this could be a yes or it could be a no. Is there anything else you want to share before we close? Because we are coming up on our end here.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for bringing me on and letting me share my stories and about the ride. Our season starts December 1st. So I'm so excited for that. And we're going to have a really, really fun and safe season. So stay tuned for more.
We wish you all the good weather and just all the good juju to dial into what has become such a beautiful thing and sounds like is growing and just going to keep on keeping on supporting some incredibly needed services. So, wow. Taylor, thank you so much for your time today. And can I just say for being you? I mean, you are a special person, I can tell. And thank you so much for sharing. You're obviously just so passionate and just dedicated. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for putting the boots to the ground. So
thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
You bet. And I want to thank everyone who's watched or listened today. Please share this interview. Please share the social media links. There's somebody out there who is just, it's going to hit in passing and they're going to say, hey, that sounds like something I need. And it's going to ripple effect. That is what I hope these interviews do. And then all the interviews live on my YouTube channel called the Nonprofit Shoutout Interview. And I just thank you guys so much in this busy, crazy world for giving us your time today. So we will have one more interview this year, and then we will take a break until 2022. So thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.